this is Persephone. I'm a victim of narcissistic abuse and sexual abuse, both online and in real life, that I decided to take matters into my own hands and start waging a war against people with severe personality disorders. By waging a war, I mean that I aim to create a community of like-minded people who have also been through the same and they are into self-development. We do not support any crimes, illegal activities, stalking, violence, and we do not have any ill will or hatred towards anyone. That being said, I'm a human being and I have the right to express extremely negative emotions if I want to, because they're also part of human nature. And because I don't believe that being fake and lying is helping anyone long term, and also because when you have been lied to and scammed and promoted false, disgusting ideas, the right thing to do isn't to be the mistress who retired into a farm, it's to take accountability and correct your mistakes. And this is what we're going to do today. Before we start, a small update about myself. I have been having some extremely difficult days. I started on 2 different campsites. I'm not going to tell you which ones because I don't want a lot of people who don't like me to find me, and subs tend to be leeches who try to find you everywhere and say, miss this, mistress that. It's very difficult because you start right from the bottom, you have no ranking, you have no following, nobody knows you, but you have one gift, the liberty to not do femdom. So when someone comes to my room and they have sissy in their username, block, sub, block, encouraged by, block. You have to be a normal heterosexual male who wants vanilla things for me to engage with you. If you're not that, I'm not going to engage with you. And if I sound extremely angry and deranged, it's because I am. Even yesterday, I woke up to 3 emails from subs, quote unquote, randomly calling me on Skype. And that is because I used to offer phone with cam using Skype on Night Flirt. If you're not familiar with that, Skype is going away, which has created problems. And they say now that people on Night Flirt are going to offer webcam sessions on Telegram and Discord. That's the right. I have no problem with Night Flirt. They have been very good to me. And it's the right how to run their business. I refuse to do camming on Night Flirt and Discord. I'm a cam girl. If you don't want to provide me with a cam platform, then we're not going to do camming. They had months to find out how to create an integrated cam feature. If they don't want to do it, that's fine. I'm more than happy to take calls and text there, and that's that. Now, to the point of this video. In my years in the adult industry, if I had $1 every time a man asked me, a man who's usually not in the industry and he doesn't buy content, the most popular question is, why would anyone buy your OnlyFans subscription? Why would anyone buy your videos? Why would anyone even contact you? There is so much free porn available online. What do you have to offer? I mean, half humanity has a vagina. There are women prettier than me, younger than me, thinner than me, more talented than me by the millions, other creators. So why would anyone buy anything that I offer? The answer is they don't. The answer is that no one buys an OnlyFans subscription. No one calls you on Night Flirt. No one calls you on Skype because they want that. The secret goal of 99.9% of femdom subs is to do all of that in order to convince you, to talk you into dating them, to coerce you into dating them, to essentially buy a romantic human relationship. And this is something so mentally disturbed, so narcissistic, and so destructive for everyone involved, and we are going to discuss it in today's video because I'm the only person in the world that I know currently that is still in the industry and has the courage to talk about these things. The reason for that is because my health has become so unstable that there are people who had my health problems and they died, and there are people who had my health problems and they killed themselves because the pain was constant and morphine stopped working. So I'm thinking, if next week I land on my deathbed again, for the 3rd time, will I have any regrets? One of the regrets is going to be I didn't tell this, insert the worst cuss word that you can think of, because as YouTuber I cannot cuss. I didn't tell them exactly what I think about them. So today I'm not going to have any regrets and I'm going to give you a piece of my mind. So, for thousands of years, women were cattle, unfortunately. In many parts of the world they still are. Which means that the woman was passed down from one man, her father, to another man, her husband. In my grandmother's time, which wasn't that long ago, my grandmother didn't have the right to open her own bank account until she immigrated/escaped to Germany. She needed a man to be a part of the bank account, and the man could empty the bank account, which my abusive grandfather did several times without even informing her. Which means that if the woman wasn't unmarried, her literal survival was on the line. if she was lucky enough to survive at all. There are cultures where you know that female infanticide happens more than people like to admit, one-child policy in China, etc. I'm not going to do political commentary here, but it happened. It still happens. As a result, a lot of women were forced to tolerate atrociously looking, ugly men, men with deformed penises, men with abusive personalities, men with the personalities of a cardboard box, men 30 years their senior, and so on. And that gave rise to the very patriarchal belief that women don't care about looks, women care about stability and security and money. Which essentially, it's a very offensive thing to women because it means that every woman is essentially some sort of prostitute, that you can buy a woman if you have enough money. And that gives rise to the sexpat phenomenon and to the passport bro phenomenon. And we're going to analyze all of that and connect it to the femdom subs because they are the exact same, but one step worse because they also have the kinks. So what happens is that in the hospital, at some point they took away my electronics. I'm going to make a series called Hospital of Horrors, but long story short, I had nothing to do. I was losing my mind, and they wheeled me over to the living room where there was one TV and other patients were watching something, so I can watch it too. And I was so cursed that these people were obsessed with 90 Day Fiancé, and I had to watch 19 episodes of 90 Day Fiancé in 2 days. I thought that if I was able to throw myself out of the window with a wheelchair, I would have done it, but the window was locked. So after being forced to watch the recent tell-all with all of these crazy people, you see a pattern emerging there. The pattern is, there is some fat, unattractive, loser American male. He goes to some third world country, he finds some very beautiful woman so far out of his league that she may could have been from a different galaxy. And he brings her back to America, and they start participating on the show. And then, after 2 or 3 years, the woman starts cheating, or she leaves him for someone else, some hot guy that she really wants. And then he is footing the bill for 10 years because he is her sponsor, and he is playing the victim on the show. And the guy that I absolutely dislike, and I feel zero sympathy for, is Gino. I didn't want to make this about 90 Day Fiancé, but Gino is a very good example because he met his wife Jasmine on a sugar dating website. You are 20 plus years older than her. You met her on a sugar dating website. You brought her there and you put her into a dead bedroom. He didn't want to have sex with her. If you ask me, there is a chance his sexual orientation isn't what he claims it to be. And then she found a hot personal trainer and she got pregnant, and now he's playing the victim. Whose fault is it that all of this happened? And I have to tell you, men who are 50, and they say I find women who are 50 disgusting, don't complain when women who are 30 like her or 35 find you disgusting. Because if you do age discrimination, it's going to be done back to you. So anyway, all of this situation means that there are a lot of men that they haven't caught up to the idea that their own looks matter. They think that their looks don't matter, and also that gives rise to the scammers of the manosphere who start to promote things that as long as you spin plates and you do this and you do that and you have money, women will flock to you. This only happens to hot men. If you are rich and if you invest greatly on your looks and if you have a personality that you have to cultivate, being attractive and being charming and being seductive, these things can happen. If you just throw $20 at the problem and you expect to get a girlfriend, it's not going to happen. You're going to get scamming women who are going to be laughing all the way to the bank. I started this from the general male population, and we are going to narrow it down to the subs. So I have been doing vanilla camming for the last weeks, ever since I left the hospital, pretty intensely, and not even one heterosexual vanilla man asked me to move in with me, asked me where exactly do I live, asked me to be his living mistress or whatever. Why are the so-called subs so clingy? Why are they so entitled? If you are a sub watching this, I have some very bad news for you. Women who are any kind of online figures or sex workers or e-girls or mistresses have a very, very large pool of male candidates to pick from. Assuming they are single, which most of them aren't. If you go to any sex worker forum or camgirl forum, 90-something% of them are either married or in relationships or single moms, and they have no interest to meet some pervert from online. But let's say that they are single for the sake of the conversation. Do you really think you can weasel your way into someone's life by cultivating a fake paid relationship? I'm going to say something here that is going to come as a shock to several people who watch me. If you pay someone to talk to you and to interact with you, they don't really like you. That doesn't apply only to femdom and romantic relationships, it applies to everything. In the hospital, the nurses and the doctors saved my life. I do not harbor any delusions whatsoever that these people liked me, or they had some special friendship with me, or they had some romantic interest in me. They saved my life because that's their job and they need to do it to put food on the table for their families. And after I left the hospital, they don't think about me and they think about the next patient, because this is how the world works. In a similar way, cam sites, femdom sites, and all of these sites are businesses. People are there to provide an experience, a fantasy, an escape from your real life, a release, and to cover needs that you're obviously lacking so much that you cannot cover. AKA, you cannot get a girlfriend, you cannot get anyone to have cyber sex with you for free, phone sex with you for free, to sext you for free because you're unattractive. So you outsource that problem by paying the women. So far, so good. This job has fed me, clothed me, kept me away from abuse. I'm not ungrateful. The problem starts when in your mind, in your porn-fried brain, the lines start to blur and you start thinking that we have something real going on. And that something real not only doesn't exist, but also it becomes abusive. I'm the most angry I have ever been in my entire life, and I know that I have said this many times, but this time you're going to see the difference. I have gone above and beyond all of these years on YouTube to help what is essentially failed men, controlling men, dysfunctional men, heal and explore ways to get out of their parental abuse and find someone to date. And this is the thanks. The one time that I sent a mass email and I said I'm not going to be available for a few weeks, I can't do webcam sessions, I'm recovering, I was met with stalking, harassment, whining, demands to be online, passive-aggressive comments like, oh, finally you're online for once. You know, these jobs are essentially freelancing independent contractors. Night flirt, many vids, clips for sale, all of these people provide the platform as my employers, and I make my work hours. I didn't sign the contract that it's a 9 to 5. I had entitled subs telling me, you need to send me your schedule. My what? Do you really think that if I want a 9 to 5 job, I'm too incompetent and too stupid to get one? The whole point of doing this job is to allow me to have a more flexible schedule so I can try to heal my body and fix my life and engage in projects that you don't know of because we are not really friends. I'm an online stranger. So I'm going to tell you today, I have come to the conclusion that the word sub is a scam. Do you know what the sub is? It's a controlling man, a man who wants to be dominant, whose king is pretending to be a slave, but he's not a slave. He's as controlling, as dominant, as abusive, and as suffocating as men like Andrew Tate and other misogynists who treat women like cattle. You are the exact that. And he is also a covert narcissist. I believe that men who identify as quote-unquote doms and choke women are overt narcissists, and the subs are covert narcissists. The covert narcissist, according to Dr. Ramani, is someone who doesn't want to do the work to get the success and the narcissistic supply. He sits at home, he expects the opportunity to fall into his lap, and when that doesn't happen, he is playing the victim. He's too good to work, he's too good to suffer to achieve a goal, he's too good to sacrifice. Does that ring a bell? The guy who's fat and unkempt and he wore a pair of panties and identifies as a sissy and then sexually harassing me to say, mistress, I need to move into your area and move in with you. Why would I move in with an unkempt fat man in panties, a literal stranger? First of all, I'm not interested in him. Second, I don't know him. Third, I'm going to be murdered. Do you want to go to the true crime section of YouTube to see how many women are murdered and dismembered and have disappeared and missing because they met random dudes from online? Do you really think I'm this retarded, or are you this retarded? And I don't say retarded in a way to insult anyone with an intellectual disability. I'm just so fed up with all of this circus. We are going to start living in reality. And if you abuse me with your delusions, I'm going to be shoving reality down your throat, whether you like it or not. If you don't like it, leave my channel. You don't have what it takes to get women. You go paying for women, and then you hope to whistle yourself to pay yourself into someone's life. I have news for you. You cannot buy romantic attraction. You cannot buy compatibility. You cannot buy romantic relationships. What you can buy is a woman who secretly hates you, who doesn't want to touch you, women from impoverished countries like Thailand and other Asian countries who sacrifice themselves to provide for their children and their families, And they can't wait for you to die so they can take your assets and date who they really want to date. That's what you're getting yourself into. I have all of these people saying, when are you going to be online? Calling me on Skype at 3 a.m. This blows my mind. The process of phone with cam on night flirt is, you call my night flirt line, I pick up the phone, we connect, and then I video call you on Skype. Otherwise, night flirt cannot get paid. So you don't call the phone. You just call me on Skype for free at 3 a.m. Do you really expect me to pick up the phone at 3 a.m. and say what exactly? Am I your girlfriend? Some tin man in white mule messaged me, I'm horny and I need you right now. If I told my boyfriend I'm sick, I'm very sick, I need to recover, and he messaged me at 3 a.m. to wake me up and say I'm horny and I need you, I would have blocked him. Because that is lack of empathy. As one human being to another, when someone is sick, you let them rest. If you don't want to let them rest, then I'm going to be producing 2,000 of these videos and I'm going to turn around the public and I'm going to tell you. There was a time, not too long ago, that in the Diagnostical and Statistical Manual, sadism, masochism, and kinks were part of what is considered a self-defeating personality disorder. You don't believe me? Go over to Dr. Sam Vaknin's channel to see what he has to say. He said that not too long ago, if you had all of these tendencies that the subs have, you were considered a person in dire need of mental help. But then, the woke agenda started, the gender traitor feminists, the LGBTQ groups, and a bunch of other people who have a very big interest to keep you mentally ill, and then it was removed out of the Diagnostical and Statistical Manual for political correctness. Because most psychiatrists are sellouts. They sold themselves under the pressure, and now you go around with everyone enabling you, everyone saying it's fine that you have these kinks. No, it's not fine. You're destroying yourself. And if you sit down for a second and listen to me, you will know deep down that I'm right, because nothing good comes out of the way that you live as a quote-unquote sub. You're not a sub. I have been your real slave for years. Whoever holds the money holds the power in the financial relationship. You are a guy who holds the money to control women who need the money in those sites, and you just cosplay as a sub. That's what you are. Because if you weren't, if you were truly a humble person, if you were a kind person, you wouldn't be stalking me, messaging me, harassing me, propositioning me, and insulting me year after year after year until I have had enough. Me and many others. That's why all of these mistresses retire in farms, right and left. I'm not retiring in any freaking farm. As long as I'm alive and as long as I can talk, these videos will continue to be made and the anti-king war begins. I'm going to end this video with one more thing that happened that really spiked my cortisol a bit, so I'm going to spike yours now. I had someone, and this is proof that even the most long-term customer that you think is an okay person can just backstab you any minute. You are not safe anywhere. So this guy, he is from New York. From now on, I'm going to be blocking people from New York. I have a video prepared about preemptive no contact, categories of people that I will block without interacting with them, because they have red flags that if you have these red flags, there is a 99% chance that you're a narcissist, so I'm not going to waste my time with you. And he has been calling me on and off for the last 2 years on night flirt, and he has been basically talking about his life. And his life is, I'm not going to mention any personal information, his identity is protected. Long story short, he comes from a family of doctors, very privileged New Yorker. And his brother and his sister also became doctors, and he also got accepted into some kind of sort of like pre-med school or whatever. And then he flunked out of college to do drugs, and that lasted in his 20s, and he is now in his 30s, and he feels very inferior compared to the rest of his family. And he called me because he said that recently there was some kind of party. His brother has kids and they had a birthday party, so he was invited as the uncle, and his brother and his sister tried to set him up with doctors and nurses and other professionals, and none of the New York women was interested in him, because the moment they found out that he's essentially a bum living off of his family's money and doing nothing, they all lost interest. Because it's New York, people are hyper competitive and no one has time for an unemployed man. And honestly, between you and me, good for them. Unemployed men are cancer. So I asked him, if you have so much money and if you have the time, because you say you don't have health problems now, you're clean from the drugs, which is great, go back to school, study something too. If you want to be a doctor or if you want to be a medical technician, whatever, a nurse. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And then he started asking me, are you seeing anyone? And usually when I see these people trying to insert themselves into my life, my real life, like a used butt plug, and they start this kind of question, I don't really answer. But because I knew this guy for 2 years, I was like, okay, I'm just going to say something generic. And I said, yeah, I'm seeing someone. That's it, nothing more. And then he drops the bomb and he said, would you be interested in an open relationship with me? I said, sorry, I don't do open relationships because personally I find them degrading for everyone involved. Like, if I need 3 men to cover my needs, I have 3 inadequate men, and the solution isn't for me to engage in this drama-inducing nonsense. It's to be single and find someone that we're more compatible. But this is YouTube, and this is my channel, so I'm going to share with you what I would like to say to this guy, but I didn't say because I don't want to be fired and because I'm a professional. So I would like to ask him if he was right there. Why do you insult me? Why do you spit on my face and you see me as someone so inferior? You just told me you met 20 women from New York, women of all races. I don't know their ages. I assume 20s, 30s, 40s, since they were trying to set you up some reasonable age. I don't assume you met 18-year-old or 60-year-old. And all of these women said, directly or indirectly, that they're not interested in you because you're a bum who has no job and you're an ex-drug addict. And unfortunately, addicts are loose cannons. They tend to relapse and many people don't want to deal with them. But you flat out ask me, from the other side of the world practically, if I would be in an open relationship with you, when I don't even know how you look like. So in your eyes, I must be so worthless that I have to take the airplane, or you have to come to my country all the way to be in some stupid open relationship. This is so infuriating. I understand. I have spent a large part of my life with people calling me inferior. I have to realize I have a huge inferiority complex, but I'm going to start calling these people out. I would like to say to this guy, if you weren't paying me by the minute, you and me would never have been having this conversation in real life. I'm not in any dating apps and I don't plan to be. But somehow the fact that he has been paying me by the minute flew over his head. And then he started sulking and pouting and saying how lonely he is and how he can't fight himself. And he's also kind of, I don't even know if he's submissive. I'm only going to say women are not going to pity date you and women are not going to give you pity sex. And when you're in your 30s, you're way too old for this type of nonsense. So this phone call ruined my day, left a very bad taste in my mouth. I have had enough of this nonsense. And I'm going to tell you my standards are sky high now. If you want to be in my life in any shape, way, or form, not necessarily romantic, either you work with me, or you work out with me, or even better, both, or you are so much better than me that I learn from you. So that when you eventually backstab me, because 90% of people are backstabbing snakes, at least I can look back and I say I didn't waste my time with you. So I'm going to tell you something. If you're the kind of guy that needs to pay women to interact with him, you and me will never date. You and me will never move in together. Because I deserve better than that. And if you say you fucking autistic psycho who decided it, I decided. I can decide for myself. No one knows your relationship. No one knows your sex. No one knows you to move in with you. Especially not women. You need to wake up. You need to start seeing through all of these scammers that they are laughing all the way to the bank and open your eyes. Because that's what has been happening. All the women that you are chasing to be your mistresses, they just want your money. All the manosphere experts who say that women after 30 are expired, okay, sure. If women after 30 are expired, I'm right there with you, but I'm going to say men after 30 are also expired. Do you think that men are immune to aging? They say, oh, men can have children throughout their entire lives. Yeah, and have you seen the recent research of how fragmented sperms create children with so many health problems and cause automatic, losses of pregnancy? It's time to get on with the times. If you're 50 and you find women who are 50 disgusting, I also find you disgusting. And I stand with the women. I'm a feminist. And age discrimination is something so inferior and disgusting, it makes you subhuman. If no one likes your fetishes, if no women want your fetishes are a problem. They are the reason you're alone and you need to see a psychiatrist and seek help. I have lost count of the number of quote-unquote subs who are in fact, like I said, controlling men, who come from horrific child abuse trauma, rape, incest, molestation, And instead of going to the psychiatrist like I urge them to do, they say, oh, I would much rather talk to you. No. I have been researching psychiatry and psychology for years. When you go through childhood sexual abuse, you develop several maladaptive coping mechanisms. One of them is repetition compulsion, which means there are a lot of men who identify as straight that I know in this site, and then they can't stop bottoming for gay men, and they expect me to encourage that. That's not hot. A lot of these men have a history in their life where some male relative or male friend or even male stranger molested them, sexually abused them, and now they reenact that in very unsafe, very degrading sexual practices with random men. And then they expect a woman to say, wow, this is so hot. It's not hot at all. If anything, I feel sorry for you. And as long as you don't abuse me, I want you to get the mental help that you need. Another thing that is extremely disturbing, and we need to start putting it in the right direction right now, is cheating. I had so many of these subs saying, my wife isn't here, my wife is fat, my wife is this and that, and they're also fat and this and that. So cheating isn't sexy. And you will definitely not entice me to move in with you and take your place. If you don't respect someone you have been married to for 30 years, you're not going to respect me either. I'm not special. And people don't change. Once a cheater, always a cheater. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. Dr. Samvagin said that, and his work is invaluable. So you have pushed me to a point that if you told me 3 years ago, Persephone, you'll be saying these things online, I would say, fantasy story, you are crazy. Yet here we are. I have way too many men that we have nothing in common with, that they are a 2 out of 10 in looks, that they have kinks that they are not sustainable in daily life, harass me. And if you say, you idiot, how are you going to make money now? I would much rather die on a ditch. If I'm so incompetent and I can't make money doing coming and cosplay and writing books and doing all the other 20 things that I do that you don't know of, then I should just die. I'm not enabling this pathology ever again. So if you're a sub and you think it's totally okay to be needy, clingy, insufferable, guilt-inducing, manipulative, and the myriads of other cancers you brought into my life, sit down with yourself and take a good look at yourself and start doing into real self-development. Because we are not going to go back to the times where women were cattle. And stop trying to do a shortcut into human relationships. You cannot buy human relationships. In the past, plenty of men were dying alone. Men would have to go to war and get paid to buy land and to get a wife. Getting harems and getting many women and getting beautiful women was reserved for the rich and the powerful and the aristocracy and the warriors. It's only in the 20th century that this bullshit started, that you exist and you breathe and you have a penis and you are entitled to the sexiest wife you can get your eyes on. You're not entitled to anything. You're a failed male, if anything. And I don't even care about beta and alpha anymore. Okay, I'm going to summarize this video. This is going to be analyzed in future videos, but for now. Step number 1, you go to the doctor, the general physician for now, although the psychiatrist is more urgent, but I don't want to overwhelm you. You get a full checkup, you get your testosterone check, and if the doctor gives the green light, you try to run 1 mile. 1 mile is the minimum testing for your physical condition in many fields, including the army. I don't care about your speed. Download one app on your phone and see if you can run 1 mile without stopping, even at a low speed. If you can't do that, you're so out of shape that you don't need dating. You need to get right into working out and eating healthy to lose the weight. No woman wants a fat man. I don't care if that sounds as fat shaming. You're shaming women for their bodies all the time. It's time we start doing the same. Do you know how many guys I said who went to cheat on the campsite and they said, my wife looks disgusting after childbirth? Oh, so she gave birth to your children and now she's disgusting. And what did you do to support her to lose the weight? Nothing. You're jerking off to porn, but somehow she's supposed to look like a Victoria's Secret model 40 days after giving birth. Oh my God, I won't even start with this. Thing number 2, you have to go to a psychiatrist if your kinks and your porn addiction are destroying your life. I had people who are messaging me on Sunday, I plan to spend 12 hours watching porn videos. No. And then you want to move in with me. So are we going to do what? We're going to be watching them together. Has your one brain cell been fried by porn completely? This has to stop. Thing number 3, if you are a narcissist, leave my channel. Other people are human beings as much as you are. No one knows you anything, especially online. Stop being in a parasocial relationship with e-girls, cam girls, actresses, porn actresses, strangers, your high school crush, and so on. I never call people to harass them, and I expect the same. If you continue to harass me, actually, even if you don't continue to harass me, expect 2,500 of these videos, maybe 3,000. Someone has to make them. Someone has to start waking men up. Ignore the manosphere. Men do not need to just have a penis and a job and they are entitled to the sexiest women possible. Also examine your personality. Last but not least, I know that they are going to say, personality, and you're just one of these women who are telling us what we want to hear. No, personality is also important, especially for people like me who are autistic and neurodivergent in general. If we don't have anything in common, I don't need you in my life. You have to bring a lot to the table. And if you say you'll die alone, if I die, so be it. Alone or not alone. But there are so many people that I know on campsites, so many men, that this is their life. They work a job, some dead job, or some job that no one cares about. They have been married for 30 years. They are morbidly obese. And their hobby is they're going to come home, eat junk food, take drugs, and drink alcohol. And they do references from the 70s, and I'm supposed to know them. And then they want to move in together with me and wear panties and be my sissy, not even in a parallel universe. I also need mental stimulation, and this is the most boring thing. I describe it and I get bored halfway. I'm not saying that you should fake who you are, but if you are boring, you should seek other people who are also boring. And there is no shame into being 50 and dating women in their 40s and 50s. I found it insane that Keanu Reeves gets praised for having a girlfriend that she has gray hair and she doesn't dye her hair and she's still 9 years younger than him. And people are acting like Keanu Reeves is a saint. I don't date people not even 10 years older than me, not even 20 or 30. Age gaps are not my thing. You have to be relatively close to my age. I also don't date much younger either. I actually don't date anyone if you want to see it like this. I'm on the internet. I'm here for my content. I'm not here to be your girlfriend. And if I sound hostile and fed up, you haven't seen anything yet. I'm making these videos now as, like I said, after having the third mental breakdown. I had 2 previous mental breakdowns because of femdom, but I was still holding on. After I came back from the hospital, and it was the one time that I needed to be treated like a human being, and all of you on the internet, all of you perverts, so-called subs, treated me like garbage. Now I'm going to start giving back what I get. And I'm the kind of person that if you treat me with kindness, I pay back tenfold, and if you treat me with evilness, I pay back tenfold. So don't say that I didn't warn you.